A wide range of monsters inhabit the land of Voyard, and most take their names from different real-world cultures. Let's start by going through the monster families alphabetically. This will cover the real-world inspirations. The in-world explanation is the Synergy Stones during the Age of Alchemy, and following the Mount Aleph eruption, has mutated many of the people and animals of the world. Hence, some of the cattle will transform into bullmen, or bats will grow scorpion tails. Animated armors can be created by a sorcerer's magic, or sometimes a soul haunting its former armor. In this case, judging by their names, it seems all three members, Ghost, Soul, and Spirit, are ghosts haunting their armor. Ghouls are Arabian monsters similar in many ways to the Wendigo, who are said to eat the bodies of the dead. The biggest difference is ghouls are not as intelligent, and more like very intelligent zombies. A fiendish ghoul simply adds the adjective fiendish to signify it as a fiend. A cannibal ghoul formally acknowledges the fact it eats people and in Golden Sun was a person. Gnomes are small, often knowledgeable creatures who live underground. This may explain the magical connection inferred from the magician and wizard relatives. The first member, Mini Goblin, is clearly just a petite goblin. This enemy is seemingly replaced following Alchemy's release by a smaller goblin called a Gobling, using the diminutive ling to denote a smaller juvenile goblin. The second is called an Alec Goblin, Alec meaning relating to fish, particularly the carnivorous toothed anchovy. This goblin does inhabit islands, so it could imply the goblin fishes, or that it is their take on a goblin shark, a horrifying animal that exists. Alchemy replaced it with a much more simple goblin. The final members are the Baboon Goblin or Goblord, either likening the goblin to an ape or conveying its rank in goblin society. Goblins originally were close to dwarves, imps, or gremlins, but thanks to Tolkien, goblins have become relatives of his orcs. But we also have the Hobgoblin or Hobbleline, which are also goblins in their own mess that intersects with the mini-goblin Goblem Family. That's why I made this the Goblem Family. Hobgoblins started out as more friendly, cooperative goblins who had elf-like traits, and often lived in-house as servants in exchange for a meal and a place to stay. Tolkien, again, took this and made hobgoblins very large orc-like monsters. The base hobgoblin, incidentally, in Japan is Goblin Gigant, which means large or massive. After alchemy, it becomes known as a hobble. The second member of this family is Kobold, or Goblin in Japan, Kobolds being a German equivalent of the old hobgoblin servants, only more loyal when treated well and more vengeful when abused. During Dark Dawn, they carry hammers, and in Japan are known as hammer goblins, or hobblegobs. The last member is Goblin in the duology, Hobgoblin in Japan and in the English version of Dark Dawn, and Goblin Gigants in the Japanese version of Dark Dawn. And yes, you should be very confused by this mess. Golems are imperfect beings made of clay and dirt in much the same way the Hebrew God made humans. Only they are imperfect and are just animated dirt made by priests or alchemists. The ordinary golem is called Mud Golem in Japan, indicating it is made in much the same way as the creation story, but without the power of a god. The second golem is Earth Golem, indicating it's not just mud, it is clay. The last, Grand Golem, indicates it is a far more advanced golem, closer to a human than any other golem. Gressil is a demon that was popularly first mentioned during a political scam known as the Ludon possessions. A priest was accused of making a deal with demons to make all the women have erotic dreams about him in hopes that they would have sex with him. One of the alleged demons possessing and granting these dreams was Gressil, who agreed to leave the body by cutting a hole in the chests of the women. For those curious, the priest's legs were slowly bent until they broke and were misshapen, and then he was slowly burned alive. This cutting out the chest thing may be why he has scythes and resembles a stylized reaper. Unfortunately, it is impossible for Gressil to originate from this incident due to the demonic manual he is first mentioned in being written 20 years earlier. Gressil most likely came about during a different incident, the I and Providence possessions, 2 years prior to the Inquisitor of the case writing about him and describing him as a demon of impurity. In-game, his family's abilities do involve causing the condemned status and triggering instant death. Fittingly for their appearance, his relative is named Little Death, and his strongest cousin is Mini Death. Griffins are half-lion, half-bird creatures and the strongest animal having dominion over the earth and the sky with both lion and eagle heritage. Wild Griffin simply means the griffin is not tame, and wise griffin may elude the majesty griffins were considered to have.